Hey, welcome to Alchemy TV. Chris Ward here with AbundantYogi.com. Before the next 60 seconds is up, you're going to know exactly why you're watching this and what it will do for you. So here we go. You're here because you're a wellness professional, coach, or heart-centered entrepreneur, and you want to do what you love without burning out or selling out and still have your work fund your lifestyle of choice. I've created Alchemy TV to help you fulfill that desire, to take you behind the scenes with some of the bravest, clearest, most successful entrepreneurs on the planet who've made nothing short of magic happen in their life and career. These alchemists have three unmistakable things in common. Number one, they're creatively alive and deeply connected to their own heart, which connects them to the hearts of others. Number two, they are doing work that they love and making a huge impact. Number three, they are here to design a life, not just make a living. Today we'll reveal the latest highlights of their most important work and discoveries, plus what they've learned along their own path of lucrative self-realization and lifestyle design. The quest you and I have in common with them to do what we want, when we want, with whom we want, most of the time, while still offering our greatest contribution to the world. There's always a bit of alchemy underlying a quest like that, so that's what we're here to explore and tease apart together, so that you can grab some tips on how to practice alchemy in your own life and business in your flavor and style. Here we go.
All right. So today I feel so privileged to have the ability to interview my new friend, Jonathan Mead, who is the founder of paidtoexist.com. He is the chief troublemaker there, where he helps people to live and work on their own terms. He's helped countless of people to shift their paradigm from working as a chore that must be done in order to survive to finding ways where they can make their livelihood something that they actually enjoy and get meaning and fulfillment out of. His company, Paid to Exist, is about eliminating the separation between what you get paid to do and what you love so that you can contribute to your world and live a life of freedom. You guys know I'm all for that, and I'm so looking forward to this interview with you, Jonathan. So thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thank you, Chris. I'm excited to talk with you today.
All right. So here we go. Cool. First question I have for you, just to kick things off. What does living a life of freedom mean to Jonathan Mead?
Really, I think really what it comes down to is having my actions and, my days and how I spend my time, driven by what I want to experience and how I want to feel, and being in connection and being, present and excited about what I'm doing, rather than it being, dictated by some external force that, is trying to dictate, where I'm going or the things that I'm doing, for instance, like money or fear or,
totally.
all those things that a lot of people feel like they're trapped in certain patterns or certain habits, or they have to do certain things because if they don't, something bad is going to happen. So that's how I try to live my life, is to be guided by, joy rather than, something outside of myself that is, controlling the direction of my life.
Amen to that, brother.
Yeah.
Amen. So with Paid to Exist, I know that this isn't the first iteration of your business. It sounds like you started with more of a general direction and really just followed your heart and followed your nose. But luckily, it has become your vehicle for your life of freedom from the corporate world. Will you share a little bit with us about what got you started in this direction and how your focus and your mission has evolved over time?
Yeah, really, I guess my story or my evolution is a lot like, most people's stories of growing up and believing that work is something that you do in order to live. There's this saying that we're all familiar with, which is the cost of living. Yeah. The cost of living. Why is there a cost to living? Life is a gift.
Yeah.
Life is something that we're granted with. Even as children, we're given this gift of being taken care of. We're given this gift of life, and why should there be a separation between what our work is and our vocation is and, the rest of our life? So I always felt like, I couldn't quite put my finger on it for a lot of time. And I think, like most people, I was confused because I grew up, at first being told you can do whatever you want. And then later being told, well, you can do a few things as long as they make money and as long as they're profitable. So,
right.
Or marketable. So I more and more over time, I identified like, I don't think that's true. I think that's bullshit. I think there's something wrong with that. And as I started to explore that, I started to uncover, things like blogging, things like entrepreneurship, things like, creating your own products, identifying your own unique value that you have to bring to the world. And I started with personal development because that was something I was really passionate about. And I felt like it was something that had given so much to me, and I wanted to find a way to give back. So I started this blog. Actually, at first it was called Jonathan Mead, and then it was called Illuminated Mind. And then over time, as I started doing coaching and offering different things, more people came to me for help with finding their passion and living a life of freedom and wanting work to be a joy than the more general personal growth principles and practices. So I kind of joke with people sometimes and say I was like forced into my purpose against my own will because I had this other idea, and then like people just start coming to me for this, and I had to listen to that. And that's how I started to realize that the container that I had, or the vehicle that I had for my message, wasn't quite as good of a fit as it could be. So that's when I shifted to the brand Paid to Exist, and that's what it is now. And it's a little bit of a bold statement. Some people have a strong reaction to it in a positive way. Some people have a strong reaction to it in a negative way. But I think it's because it speaks to people at a certain level where they're like, wow, maybe that's the way it should be. Maybe that's actually possible. So, and that brings me to where I'm at right now, I suppose.
Yeah. So with a powerful name like that has such a bold statement weaved into it, you naturally weed out the people that you're not going to want to work with anyway because they don't resonate with who you really are. And the people that you do work with, your work can be more integrated, like more the real you, just doing work that you love. So there you go, living proof that you're practicing exactly what you preach.
Yeah, I can't do that. I can't operate in a way where I'm not in alignment with what I'm doing. And I feel that immediately.
Totally.
If I'm ever creating something or I'm trying to give people advice and I'm like not in congruence with that, I just feel it. So I think living your purpose is a good way to actually keep yourself in alignment because it gives you immediate feedback. Like, am I actually doing what I'm telling other people that they should do? So
yeah. Totally. You use your own fraud filters to go like, wait a minute.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I get that. And I love the sentiment that you stated before that work is sacred. I so agree. But I want to hear directly from you and have you share more with our viewers what exactly you mean by that work is sacred.
Yeah, I get goosebumps when you even say that because so many people spend their whole lives trying to make a living, or earn an income or force themselves to do things that are marketable that they're not interested in, passionate about, and then they end up like thinking like they can start living when they retire or start living at a certain point. And it's like, well, it's your life dictated by money, basically. And I think that's completely backwards. I'd rather be broke and doing something that I cared about than, doing it for the money and feeling dead inside. So that's why work is sacred to me. And I don't believe there has to be a dichotomy between, what you love to do and what you can get paid to do. I think those can be beautifully integrated.
Yes.
But if I had to choose, I'd choose happiness,
Yes.
choose happiness and being broke because there's so many things that are amazing and free that we tend to not value as much when we're so focused on what's marketable or what is profitable.
Yeah. easy to lose sight of those things that are right in front of our nose when we're too focused on what we should do, because that's the thing we think people want from us, versus us being really connected to who we are at our core and what comes easily and naturally to us and what we're really meant to do if we're being true to ourselves.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
I read an article about your job escape kit, and in that article, you talk about, to paraphrase here, the difference between a naive quitter and a strategic quitter. You said the naive quitter adapts himself to the world, whereas the strategic quitter adapts the world to him. And that's kind of along the lines of what we've been talking about. But can you just share more about this and tell us what you mean by that, the naive quitter and the strategic quitter?
Yeah, well, there's this quote that says, the reasonable man adapts himself to the world. The unreasonable man adapts the world to himself. Therefore, all progress depends on the unreasonable man. And I think to operate in the most successful way possible, you need to be completely unreasonable.
Yeah.
Like, there's so many false paradigms that people buy into that, they think this has to be a certain way or that has to be a certain way, or I have to follow this template in order and do all these things and check off these boxes to succeed. And they end up actually being just homogenized, And if you are unreasonable and you're following your own intuition, your own heart, you're going to do things that are beautifully unique, unreplicatable, and you're going to connect with the people that most resonate with what you have to offer, what your unique value is. And that's how I think you can be more successful as a quitter. So as a quitter, the job escape kit is about people that want to leave their jobs to do something on their own, where they're experiencing more freedom, more joy, etc. And I see a lot of people, they go about it in a naive way. And part of that is not just that they're trying to do everything that everyone else does, but they're also like, they're not operating from a strategic standpoint in terms of like, they quit their job and then they're trying to like figure out how to make money, or they're launching a product without having conversations with people that can get value from that, and they're just not coming to it from a place of like really respecting that transition.
Yes.
And then people, they end up not succeeding in the way that they wanted to, and then they have to go back to that old world. So I encourage people to be strategic about it, create predictable income, create a job replacement income before you quit your job, and then quit so it can be sustainable, and so you can, feel secure and safe in offering your gifts to the world. A lot of people, they feel held back from doing what they love because of money. And if you're strategic about money and you feel secure with your relationship to money, then you're able to create more powerfully. So that's I guess what I have to say about that.
And so, and I know that your job starter, or your, what is it called again?
Job escape kit.
Job escape kit. Thank you. Job escape kit. So I know that goes a lot more deeply into the how-to of that piece, and some support and accountability around that piece, right? As well, right? Because I know that you have shared that that's one of the main things that you see people struggle with is not having that accountability to make it strategic and to really respect that process, because it's not an easy feat. Yeah. But to maybe give us some hints from that, and to bring in a few practical tips. What can you share with us that's at least simple enough to put into a few minutes on how to strategically quit a job that you don't enjoy to do work that you love?
Yeah, well, I think one of the first things is you have to owning your relationship to money. So, and creating your relationship to money in a way that's conscious and powerful, and that's based on love rather than fear. So changing that relationship, and also feeling like you're what's going on with your money. Most people don't. Mm-hmm. So what I guide people through is baselining their expenses and, getting rid of as many recurring expenses as possible, and figuring out what are the things that I can do to baseline to make freedom more accessible. And that can be a temporary transition. You don't have to live like a monk your whole life, but it can be helpful while you're making that transition. Dave Ramsey has a quote that says, if you're willing to live like no one else, later you can live like no one else.
I love that.
I love that too. So I think that's one of the first things. The other thing is being strategic about replacing your job income. So it's not enough to just, get in right relationship with your money. You also have to figure out how you're going to create that income to replace your job. So I have, three main things that I think you need to focus on in order to do that. One is your offer to the world. Like, what is that offer going to be, and getting really specific about that and really clear about that. And the next thing is your marketing process. So how are you going to bring people into, investing in that offer, whether it's through, creating a webinar or autoresponder series or whatever, finding the right marketing process for that offer. And then finally, what is the right traffic source or lead source, or who are those people that are actively seeking what you have to offer, and how can you connect with those people? Right. So if you focus on those three things, and if you focus on those three things over the course of 6 months or a year, you find what is the right combination of that, then you have something that you can grow and scale and build on over time. So that's one of the things that I guide people through, is that process.
Yeah, and I imagine, because you and I actually do really similar work, and I love to see you doing it in your style and in your flavor, and with your own personal brand, because I do mine through my own personal brand, and one of the things I love that you really make clear, which keeps things so grounded, is that you're not going to know all the answers in the beginning. Don't expect to feel confidence and clarity in the beginning. Just start with these three basics and work them. And then over time, just like what happened with you, where you went from Jonathan Mead to Illuminated Mind to Paid to Exist, the people that you attract, and through the working relationships and the feedback and the data and the results, you'll tweak it over time, and you'll learn over time more clearly what your true work and what your true niche and what your true offering is, and it will keep evolving and clarifying over time. So I think that's a big piece to add here, is do not expect it to be all kittens and butterflies and smooth in the beginning.
Yeah. Clarity is found through action and opportunity. There's a Chinese, I guess it's a parable or something that says opportunities multiply when seized. And I believe that's absolutely true. So opportunities multiply when seized, but also your clarity around what opportunities are right for you and what's going to bring you the most fulfillment comes through action. So I'm
and
a
which
big
ones
proponent,
to say no to.
Yeah. Right. I'm a big proponent in ready, fire, aim,
Yeah.
Fire, see what works, and then, keep doing what doesn't work. It's a brain dead simple way of success. Like, keep trying lots of different things and do what's working the best for you. Do more of that.
Yeah. Amen to that. Yeah, I mean, and in doing coaching sessions, not only with like my paid clients, but with potential clients, free coaching sessions or what have you. One of the things, it's fresh in my mind because it was just from one a few days ago. And there was a yoga teacher that I was speaking with, and she had such a big passion to be like the full-on, famous rock star yogi, and doing it on such a big level and be a model for this company and that company. It was rad. I loved her vision, and I could feel her enthusiasm, like tugging her forward. And at the same time, I remember her mentioning something about seeing these other teachers locally who have less training than her and less skill than her, but who are doing it. Because they're taking action. That's the whole piece around about the ready, fire, aim. It's like action is the main piece. And I don't care how good you are, or how skilled you are, or how talented you are innately, the action is the main piece that's going to set you apart.
Yeah, a lot of people hate Dr. Phil. Like, they're like, he's not very smart, he's not a good psychologist, but he's the best at marketing himself.
Totally.
And I'm sure he's taking a lot of action.
Yeah,
so,
and how you get good at marketing yourself is do more of it and be willing to fail and then tweak and pay attention to what works and what doesn't.
Yep.
So I just read your recent post on the recent visionary quest that you took, and I was so inspired by this post. I got so much value out of it myself that I immediately Skyped Amber, my right-hand woman, my project manager, and said, we are going to use this post so that we redo our planning for 2013. Like, that's how good it is. So, yeah.
That's awesome.
Suggestion to our readers, go check out Jonathan's post on Visionary Quest. So detail-oriented, value-packed. I feel like you covered all of the bases. So I want to dive into that a little bit. Would you be willing to share a few of the highlights from your Visionary Quest, sort of how you approach this and how the ritual keeps you motivated and on track with your vision?
Yeah. Okay. So this is something that I've been wanting to add more structure to for a while. So in the past I've done this, but I hadn't done it exactly in the way where I felt like it was like really going to honor, the real, what was going to give me the best, clarity and direction and plan for how to operate in the way that I most want to operate. So, what I feel was most memorable and most powerful was really first bringing in another person is really helpful. So like you mentioned, doing it with Amber, I think is really cool. I think that can be really beneficial. So if you have a business partner or team member or, mastermind partner or something like that, I think that's awesome. I think you can definitely do it yourself, but it helps to have someone bounce ideas off of, and it's a bonding experience as well. So, I think most memorable for me was being by the Columbia River and just experiencing, like, I don't know if you've ever seen the Columbia River, but it's incredible. It looks like an ocean, not a river.
Yeah.
And just, I think being next to something like that, where it reminds you of the power of nature, the power of the universe, and like, there's these things that are so much bigger than you. And it just reminded me to align myself with those forces. Like, one of the things that I often forget is I can have the universe conspire in my favor.
Yes.
I don't have to do things all within my own limited power. And when I try to operate that way, I actually fail most of the time. Or
it's like the Abraham Hicks quote where they say, nothing you want is upstream.
Right. Yeah. So the river reminded me of that. Another memorable experience from that day was on the last night. We were just walking through this small town near the lodge that we were staying at. It's called Stevenson, Washington, and we happened upon this nightclub called like Polly's. It was called like Polly's Nightclub. And we went in there, and like there's like this old like toothless rodeo cowboy like that was dancing with all the women around him. Like, he was probably in his 70s, but like, I'm looking forward to when I'm in my 70s, because then I can dance with any girl that I want. And like, it's just like, they see it as like, oh, it's just that old guy. Like, just
right. He's harmless.
So, I'm looking forward to that. But Dustin coerced me into doing, I think I might have had a few drinks, but he coerced me into trying out my breakdancing skills on the dance floor on that night. And yeah, that was pretty fun. So it just, I think doing things like that is awesome, because it allows you to reflect in a different space from your normal environment, and it creates, a space for reflection and really thinking in a way that's new, in a way where you're not influenced by all your old patterns and all that sort of stuff.
I love that. And to tease apart and highlight a few more things that I really loved about this post on the Visionary Quest, you talked about, Danielle Laporte is always talking about core desired feelings, and I love that. I feel like if you're not connected to those, you really don't know your why, and so that's a big piece. You brought that into the Visionary Quest, and that was a big part of the reflection and introspection of you actually going on the quest and getting clear
Yeah.
with the direction that you want to take your life and business in 2013. But then you also talked about one piece of it being your uncompromising principles. And you said that there's a symbiotic relationship between your core desired feelings and your uncompromising principles. I really love that. Can you illuminate on that a little bit more?
Yeah. So I'll give you an example.
Okay.
A couple of my uncompromising principles are that service comes first.
Yeah.
And another one is that I need to be on the leading edge of my own work and sharing things from my own leading edge. And my core desired feelings are to be awestruck and to feel in communion. So those two things, like being awestruck, that's how I feel. But the principle is what guides that's what guides my whole business.
Yeah.
And it guides, the creation of my work. So one of the challenges that I ran into, as I was doing this work and as I was running my business is there's a lot of people that I can help that are kind of like past versions of myself.
Yes.
And one of the problems, though, is that I don't resonate necessarily with giving a lot of content on that because it's not where I'm at in my own leading edge.
Right. Yeah.
So I struggle with this because it seems like a good idea to help these people with this type of stuff. And I can do that to a certain degree, but if it's draining my own passion and my own energy, then being awestruck and service are not aligned, Right. I'm in service, but I'm feeling like bored.
Yeah.
I'm feeling like,
totally.
this is a chore. Like I've talked about this 100 times. I don't know how I can talk about this again in a new and interesting way. So I have to feel like excited about what I'm exploring and align that with serving others. Mm-hmm. And that doesn't necessarily mean I have to exclude those people. It just means that I have to expand, the people, the tribe that I'm connecting with.
Right. So it's like a non-negotiable in terms of your way of being. And you can check in and see if you're not being that way, then something's got to shift because you're not giving the very best of what you have to offer if you're on your leading edge.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
I think that really being deliberate, like one of the hardest things for me is checking in and reviewing. And
Amen.
I know it's so valuable, and when I do it, it helps me so much. It helps me stay on track to the things that I committed to.
Yeah.
But it's so easy to just be like, I don't have time for that review thing.
Yeah.
Or like
that's right.
It's not the funnest thing, but it's actually the most powerful thing. So that's one of the things I'm committing to more in my own work and in my practice is reviewing and checking in, because that's what keeps you on track with those feelings and with those principles. If you don't have that, like you don't have something to, you don't have a foundation. You don't have a structure supporting you.
And how often do you check in with those? And I'm such a visual person, so I'm wondering, like, my team and I have everything on Google, basically, right? It's like Google Docs, and our daily updates and all of that is on a Google Doc. But do you have, like, there's a huge whiteboard right there. I'm a big whiteboard person. Do you have a place where you're seeing your core desired feelings, where you're seeing your UPs, your uncompromising principles, and how often are you looking at them?
Well, I have a notebook, and this is what I use. It's really simple. It's just a big ass notebook. I've tried a lot of different systems. Like I've tried everything you can name. I've tried like OmniFocus. I've tried like planners. I've tried all that stuff. And in my mind, I think it's a good idea, but it just doesn't work for me. So I use a notebook, and it's not the most elegant thing in the world, but that's what works for me. And I use it every day to check in with what I want to feel in the morning. And my goal is to be doing reviews every Friday. Cool. And planning for the week. So
like with your team or just by yourself?
Both. So we're switching. This is one of the things we're just starting to do is switch to weekly meetings on Fridays.
Cool.
Like we were doing it on Tuesdays, and I just think Friday you have a chance to review what happened, what your big projects were, what went well, what didn't go well, and then plan for the upcoming week without like tension or anxiety because the week is already starting and you're like, oh, I should just get to work.
That's genius. It's such a simple tweak, but it's really genius.
Well,
because mine are still on Tuesdays right now. I'm like, that's a good idea. I like that Friday meetings.
Yeah, and then it's like, it's more relaxed. Like, yeah, you're talking about things that are important, but it's coming from a place of relaxation. The weekend is coming. So I'll let you know how it goes. That's
okay.
That's our group, and I can't say I'm the master of sticking to things like that, but that's one of the things I'm trying to actively work on these days. Yeah.
So to tie up the piece around the visionary quest, what were your biggest takeaways? Like, in other words, how has it already shifted your business that you can noticeably see?
Yeah, well, I think it brought in new energy. That's a big thing, and clarity about what types of products that we want to offer and what's going to give us sustainability as a business and what's also going to give us excitement. So I've shifted different things in the way I'm creating content. So I'm going to be doing a lot more videos this year. I'm going to be doing a podcast this year and continuing to do, articles like the Visionary Quest one. But I just realized, like, one of the key components for me that I need to thrive, and this directly came out of the Visionary Quest, is I need like effervescence. I need things to be continually evolving,
bubbling up
and growing. Yeah, like I can't, like, some people, they have habits and they can just keep doing, like, they can do the same type of meditation every single day, like for an hour or whatever, their whole lives. And I can, like, I always thought, like, something's wrong with me. I'm not disciplined enough because I can't do that. But I can do that, but I need it to be like Qigong today, yoga tomorrow, and then like this other new thing, like, not to flip-flop back and forth, but like I just need that for my own personal health and sanity.
Yeah, you're wired a lot like I am. A whole lot like I am. I'm that same way. And like you, I used to think it was because I wasn't disciplined, and then I'd push myself harder to try to get myself to stick to the rituals. And it really just it has to be this what feels new and fresh and edgy and risky today that's kind of nourishing,
Right.
to keep it moving.
And what I had to remember is, like, I'm still tapping into the same universal source life energy, and that's what's staying constant.
Yes.
Like, not that it's just changing and I'm like this, like, gnat on amphetamines that can't stay focused. It's that like I'm doing new things, but I'm always still tapping into the same source, the same energy, and that's awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So, last two questions I always like to ask when wrapping up this the Alchemy series interviews. What do you feel is the single most important mindset to employ if you really want to design a life versus just making a living?
Well, I used to think that it was like this uncompromising belief in yourself, like this belief that I always used to say, like, you should believe that it's just a matter of time. You don't care how it's going to happen, but it's just a matter of time. And I still believe that to a certain degree. But what I really think it's about is that having the mindset and the identity that life and the universe is on your side. Yeah. And that you're infinite, you're eternal, you are that which creates everything. And of course it's a matter of time, because you can create anything you want. And if you're aligned with that, then it's still the same thing, but it's much easier because you're not trying to do it all from your limited, separate perspective.
Yeah. Like, your desires are here for a reason. And the more you lean into them, the more you are supported by universe and everything, all that power.
Yeah, absolutely. My wife said to me the other day, like, you can't fail. Like, I was feeling frustrated about something, and she's like, you can't fail because your purpose is important and the universe won't let you fail. And I was like, fuck, that is so true.
Yes, chills.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
Well, I look forward to meeting her. What's her name? What's your wife's name?
Evian, and she writes about sex and love and women's liberation, and she's a big inspiration for me in my own work as well.
Power couple. I love it.
Yeah.
It's so cool. Yeah, my husband Craig is the founder of the Mindful Marketing Academy, and he's about the most vital, effervescent, inspiring, courageous guy I've ever met. So the four of us will have to connect and get to know each other more. I look forward to that.
I would love that. I would love that.
So just to wrap things up, let us know what you're working on now, if there's any details you want to share about current projects or how we can learn more about them, and any other closing thoughts that you want to leave with.
Yeah, so my aim is to give freely and to help as many people as I can. So if you resonate with the message that I and Chris have to bring, you can check out Paid to Exist. We have a free resource called the Backpack. It's /backpack. And most recently, we just launched the Job Escape Kit, and there's tons of free stuff on there. Like I have this raw, embarrassing case study of how I quit my job. You can check that out on jobescapekit.com. And if you want to say hi to me, you can say hi on Twitter. I'm at Jonathan Mead, and I'd love to connect with you and conspire with you to help shift this energy. I think there's a lot of people that want to live lives of freedom and that realize that at a core level, like, that something different is possible. And I just encourage you, if you feel like that, like, trust that, trust that has been put in your heart for a reason.
Yes. Such a pleasure, Jonathan. Thank you again.
Yeah,
so great to have you here.
Thank you, Chris.
Take
it's
care.
Been a pleasure.
We'll be in touch.
Okay.
Bye.